Alright then. Some news today, I guess. Paul Mitchell has left Newcastle United. Bit of a shock, I'm not gonna lie, bit of a shock. I think he's fallen out with the club. I'm gonna be fully honest, I think he's fallen out. I think he's fallen out with Eddie Howe. I think that they've probably had their ins and outs, the discussions, and I think that at the end of it, he's leaving, probably for the best. But at a bad time though. Right, we're going into the summer window, got no sporting director, absolute catastrophe in some people's eyes, absolute great idea in others. Could be trusting Eddie Howe for this, could be trusting others in the club. We don't entirely know what the plan is. We're hearing now that this is not going to affect how the club operates through the summer. I'm believing them. I'm fully on board with that. I do think that they are not lying with that. I think he's served his purpose at the club. I think it's time to move on, time to get a new one. But I think for the sake of how important this window is, I think it's important to note that we need to go straight into this with Howe at the front. Howe is the man who needs to be organising the transfers. He knows what we need the most, I trust him the most, and I don't want to put someone in day one, get us an Embremo, get us a Wissa, so you know what I mean. Recording quite quietly because there's someone sleeping next door, and the news had to come out whilst I'm busy. Can't record it on my phone either, I have my own storage. So, bit of a ASMR, bit of footage. But as everyone saw, probably if they have the app, if they open Twitter, saw the news on Sky Sports, I believe Sky Sports broadcasted it. I could be wrong. I saw mine on the app. Paul Mitchell's left right at the turn of the transfer window. The transfer window's about open. He's leaving at the end of June. As the proper window opens, we will have the shorter window with him before clubs go off to the Club World Cup. I will say during the Club World Cup, I think it's going to be a case of we need to get our business done while other clubs are busy. Man City and Chelsea, they'll be busy. Both of them are looking to buy new players. Manchester United don't have Europe. They're a lot easier to deal with. They need to sell players. Other teams will be in the Club World Cup. They won't be buying and doing business with Manchester United. So I think overall we have got freedom to do transfers at the moment. We have got a lot of freedom to do that, but looking at everything involved, it seems like, oh, we're in a bit of a pickle here because we haven't got the sporting director. I don't think that's the case. I think it's a catastrophe in terms of cohesion within the background of the club, but I think overall this isn't going to affect us so much. But it's going to be a bit of a big stamper on the day because I feel like it's all everyone's going to be talking about this morning. Everyone was talking about what transfers, what the transfer news, and then this news came out, and everyone's now like, oh no, he got us not one starting 11 player. He's been here for a year, and all he's done is criticize the current system, make fun of, well, not make fun of, but like make a new transfer system, which I mean has fixed our finances. We've got to thank him for that. But we've entered this season without a single new player and multiple departures. Players who would have been good to have on the bench, potentially youth, have gone on loan. A successful loan, I would say, for Alex Murphy. I don't know about the rest of the loans, but I will say Alex Murphy's had a very successful loan at Bolton. I don't think he will be starting next season, but I think we might get him in the U21s and we might get him on the bench occasionally. He's had a very successful season down there as a left back and left centre back. Paul Mitchell has mostly done done his best business in selling players. But we don't need that in the summer. We don't need to sell players unless we want to sell Joe Willock and Sean Longstaff. Callum Wilson's gone. It's pretty much locked in now. I think that, yeah, when we're looking at it, it looks like it's more or less just getting players in, and I don't think they have agreement on who they want in between Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe. So if one of them have to go, which one are you gonna realistically say go? Because I'm gonna be honest, I don't see any reason why Eddie Howe would be wanted gone by Saudi. Cannot see a reason they would want him gone. Can see plenty of reasons why they'd want Paul Mitchell gone. I feel like they've gotten what they asked of him, and it cost a lot of cohesion in the top of the board, especially with targets. Because all right, I'm back. I'm gonna finish off my point there. Matheus Cunha just does not suit Newcastle. Paul Mitchell seemed to be out for him. I don't think Eddie Howe was. I think Eddie Howe did not want him. I think that's a reasonable thing to say. With a left-sided forward, and that was quite simply what he was. He was a left-sided forward. Could play left centre mid. I think that was what they might have been looking at him for. Joe Linton-esque player, but no. His ego didn't. He didn't have the mindset of a Newcastle player. He didn't have the graft of a Newcastle player. His runs were far, far fewer than any player at Newcastle. Even the likes of Miley and Willock and Longstaff, with their limited time, he still did not graft as much for Wolves this season. Players like Mbeumo, players like Mbeumo and Gahey, so much more the Eddie Howe type of player. The graft and the runs, the amount of take-ons and everything like this, amount of pressing. That's the type of player Eddie Howe's after, and Cunha was not that. And I think that's a clear sign of Mitchell going wrong, Mitchell and Howe disagreeing. Because I think Mitchell might have saw, oh, it's a release clause, let's go for the release clause because that's easier business. Right? It's easy to get someone on a release clause because you just need to negotiate with the player. The club has less say, right? And more or less, once you've negotiated to pay the release clause with the club, it is just agreeing with the player. I know there's a lot more like, oh, contracts, this and that, different things. But it's a lot more straightforward than trying to negotiate a club to let a player leave for a certain amount. It's a lot easier. I think Paul Mitchell leaving is a good thing. I think people will disagree with me on that. But he's done wonders for the club when we needed him. But he and Howe do not have the same mindset on what Newcastle need going forward, quite literally, going forward as a club. And I think the Saudis know that. I think whoever Eddie Howe had in his meeting knows that. And I think without Darren Eales there, he's not going to get the support he needs to get the administrative decisions and get the preference when making a call. I think Howe's always going to get the call at the end of the day. And yeah, thank you, Paul Mitchell. You sold Lloyd Kelly for 20 million and Miguel Almiron for 10 million. Done us a ton of work. Gotten us out of PSR issues. Can't thank him enough. Shouldn't be aggressive towards him. Can't think of enough. He's done an amazing job for this club. But it's time to move on. I say that it's probably going to be Newcastle's idea to let Howe have control over this window, knowing how big it is, and then put a new sporting director to make sure finances are good for next summer, trying to figure out January and trying to give him an actual bit of time to adjust to the club. That's probably what's going to happen with the new sporting director. I feel like it's realistic to say that. But yeah, we've lost Costa, sporting director, and we're not even into the first part of the transfer window, and technically he doesn't leave till the end of June. I feel like there'll be rushed business through the start of June, trying to pad out that resume, and then leave after. Like, you'll probably pick house targets, just try and accomplish them, just for the resume, rather than negotiating a ton with Howe. I guess we'll see what happens. I'm quite excited. Now, other news. Apparently, we are actually looking at Embuemo, and we have had Delap at Newcastle and at Chelsea, Everton, and Manchester. So he's now picking up his choice. He's got his choice now, and it's more just a bit of negotiating and pitching between the clubs and Liam Delap, and it's more or less a choice now. It is him making the choice, and that is the situation at hold. Have we convinced him? There's not much more Newcastle can do other than pay out his release clause and give him a contract. Which is good news for us. We want that situation to be the case. We don't want to be fighting with the club to be able to get him in. The fact that we are now just talking to him. We've got contact with him. We've had him at Newcastle. We've had the ability to press him for potential. Lovely stuff, lovely news. And another one is Joan Garcia. Pretty juicy one. Great keeper over in Espanyol. Pretty decent club in Spain, and a very cheap release clause, because in Spain obviously everyone's guaranteed a release clause by law. Thank heavens we don't have that here. But 20 to 30 million release clause over at Espanyol, who prefers Premier League football, and the target clubs look to be Newcastle, Aston Villa, Manchester United, and potentially Man City, but they look more like they're going for Costa than Garcia. So that more or less leaves Newcastle Champions League, Aston Villa Europa League, Manchester United domestic. Oh shit. We do hold the advantage in terms of competitions. We do hold the advantage in terms of progression of a domestic heritage and success do lie with Man United, and there is more, and there is Emi Martinez leaving from Aston Villa, so there's more desperation there. Probably better pitches in terms of first team football, which is on multiple occasions when involved with Espanyol Press, he's mentioned first team football, he's mentioned getting into the first team, not being on the bench, which is why I feel like Arsenal aren't going to get him either. Yeah, I'm quite confident that he's a top target now. I think him and Trafford are our top targets for keepers, and I think that would only be the case if Pope and Dubravka left, which I can see happening. And I think if they both were to leave, Trafford and Garcia would probably come to this club. Trafford being more of a project, being a second? Williams Trafford is 22 years of age, and Garcia is 24. I mean, they're both young players with a lot of potential, and I think he is on his way to Birmingham now, and then Newcastle, and then Manchester is what I'm reading from different sources on Twitter. We're looking at trying to find them. Chronicle, sorry, name was blank in my head. Chronicle, seeing that. if that's the case, I am very happy going forward for goalkeepers. If we get one of them two, I think they're both amazing keepers. One does give us more advantage in price, one does give us more advantage in we need English players for making sure the Champions League squad is filled up with homegrown rule, domestic rule, whatever it's called. Yeah, I feel like goalkeeper news, that's pretty interesting, that's pretty reliable. I think there is a bit of concern over the centre back because in other news we have apparently made contact for Mbeumo. We've not had a meeting, we've not had him over at Newcastle, we've not put in the bid. Apparently there's been contact with the camp and he's been shortlisted by the club along with Semenyo. Obviously, I feel like everyone's linking us to Mbeumo. Everyone wants Mbeumo. He's looking to be the most likely transfer battle this season, or this window, alongside Manchester United after we gave up Cunha. It was a lost deal immediately, as I've explained previously. Mbeumo is a perfect player for Newcastle. I don't know if it'll happen, but reports are saying £50 million. I think it would be more like 60, 70, but that would be a massively worthwhile bit of trading. Get ourselves a new starting right wing, Murphy, and inside of the squad depth. And I think the only thing we need to get after that is another centre back, and then the rest of our business this summer should be trading and buying in depth for Europe. But we're in an amazing position right now. This is amazing for Newcastle fans, and yeah, I'm absolutely in love with this news. We've gotten rid of a very sell-focused and cheap option-focused sporting director who has, yes, gotten us some great players for the project. He hasn't improved our starting 11, hasn't improved our bench. He's made us weaker at times for the sake of fixing our finances. So there is positives, there is negatives. Would we have been more secure with the players that he thought, like, he saw leave the club? Lloyd Kelly and Anderson, I believe, was under his reign. I believe Minty was under his reign, and I believe I know Kelly, I know Almiron. I'm trying to remember if last year was him in the end of the summer. I think it was. I could be wrong. Feel free to correct me. Lovely stuff. Progress. We got what we needed of Mitchell. It's now time to progress. It's now time to make moves in the window with a manager and a scouting director who are both very much in progressing the first team, very much in progressing the club on the pitch, whereas Mitchell was very focused on progressing the club financially. I think we've done the financial job that we need to do. We've got in the Champions League, that's extra money, and it's now focusing on getting as much money out of the Champions League, but you can't do that without spending. Simply can't. Not with this squad. We'll have injury after injury after injury if we're not careful. Botman will be back next year. Isak will be kicking again, potentially might have some groin surgery through the summer. Joelinton will be back. Isak back. Botman looks to be able to get some time to recover fully during the summer rather than having to come in mid-season and try and perform whilst recovering. It's not a good look. Lewis Hall will be back, and we're probably going to see 2 or 3 players leave the club and get replacements, either youth or purchases. We're looking at probably Willock, who's wanted by Fulham, and Sean Longstaff, who's wanted by Everton, and I believe Manchester United want him to some degree. I can't tell if that's still a thing, but we'll need 2 more centre midfielders if that's the case, and I feel like Probably spend more than we earn there, definitely. 25 million for Willock. Probably spend 40 to 50 million in installments on a player. Probably from France, probably from Germany, one of the two. Not bad business. But overall, today, great news over in the transfer market. Great amount of stuff. Sad to see Paul Mitchell leave, but I don't think he sued the club. But overall, it's a good day for the club. I think it's good moving forward in this window. I'm gonna be honest. I think that this will be a good day for all of us. I think we're overreacting as a club on Twitter, going catastrophe mode. Not necessary. Well, that's been a good bit of a day. What'll be the advice this time? £15, put it to the side. Save it for when you need it. But £15 today, just put it to the side. That's the advice for today.